I've been given the honor tonight of introducing Jim Jones, one of Markham's regional councillors today, and with your help, on October 28th. Although I knew, no, the morning after.
If you're voting against him, you can vote on the 28th.
Although I knew Jim a little before the last council term, I got to know him much better during the 2 years that he worked with a group of residents and a few councillors to help defeat the proposed publicly funded private arena. This was when I was able to see Jim in action, learn about the kind of person he is and what drives him. I have found Jim to be the kind of politician that I'd like to see at all levels of government. Smart, curious, honest, energetic, and grounded in fact. He loves working with a team, whether a team of councillors, staff, or residents. Being a team player means sharing information, sharing responsibility, and sharing the credit. And Jim never hesitates to do any of those. The ultimate goal is always the driver, while his ego sits quietly in the back seat. He holds himself and others to a high standard. He is out there researching and getting to the bottom of issues, and he wants the rest of us to be doing the same thing. He is definitely not into emotional decision-making. Truth is the goal, and he'll get at it no matter how long it takes. He is truly the proverbial terrier with the bone. But this is not to say he's inflexible. Once he arrives at the facts, he's perfectly willing to work with other stakeholders to come up with a solution to the problem that best serves the situation and the preferences of others at the table. Jim believes, and he truly believes this, and we've heard this from a previous speaker, that if people are informed and knowledgeable, they will be much more likely to reach a meeting of the minds. He will compromise, but he will not cave. Jim is not a backroom kind of guy. He could be, because he's been in politics a long time and he knows the ropes. But he has nothing to hide. He's perfectly happy to work in an open, transparent setting, and I can tell you that hasn't been easy lately in Markham. Jim is a Ryerson business grad and a professional accountant. He worked for 28 years at IBM in finance and marketing and has been a public servant at both the federal and municipal level for 23 years. So what has he accomplished during this time? In 1988, he was elected Ward 3 councillor. During that term, he was the point man for Markham's participation in the 1996 Olympic bid. Toronto lost the Olympic bid, but fortunately, we did not lose Jim's 20 months of hard work, because the planning that he did for the Olympic bid was the foundation for what became Markham Centre. He was the lead on that study from 1991 until 1994 and continues to work on Markham Centre to this day. In 1997, Jim became the federal member of Parliament for Markham. He was the finance, treasury, and revenue critic. As it turned out, he was the only successful Conservative member of Parliament from Ontario in that election. It's a good thing he enjoys his own company. In 2003, he returned to municipal politics, this time as regional councillor. Here, we began to see his political career focus on three main themes, in addition to the day-to-day work of a regional councillor. Those three themes are comprehensive planning, transit, and sport. In 2003, he served as chair of York Region Transit and sat on the Viva board. In 2008, Jim worked on the York Region Commonwealth Games bid for 2014, which was eventually awarded to Halifax. Unfortunately, Halifax then dropped out. However, again, from that work, Jim's effort began to bring the Canadian Sports Institute of Ontario to Markham. At the last minute, the University of Toronto pulled the rug out from under him and carried the prize off to their Scarborough campus. Down, but never out, Jim continues to this day in his efforts to bring a state-of-the-art amateur sports facility to Markham. Jim is a huge fan of amateur sport and what it can do to help form the character of our young people. He also believes that in a multicultural society such as ours, everyone gets to feel and be equal on the sports field. Beginning in 2006, Jim worked on a comprehensive plan for the Langstaff development area for 2.5 years. This major plan was approved in 2009. In 2007, he worked on the Young Subway Now initiative, which Premier McGuinty approved to much acclaim, but forgot to fund. Jim continues to work on finding a way to bring the Young Subway to Highway 7. During this past term on council, he worked hundreds of hours researching and working to defeat the proposed arena. By so doing, he helped to prevent what could have become a financial albatross around the necks of Markham residents for decades to come. Not being one to rest on his laurels, Jim has big plans, literally, for the next 4 years. He wants to work on the revitalization of Main Street Unionville, the Markham Mobility Hub, get closer to realizing his dream of Markham Live and MISTA, his Olympic Training Center, and, of course, bring his transit vision to life. Part of his transit vision is turning the GO line into an above-ground subway, which, as we've all heard, is gaining a lot of momentum and a lot of credibility in many camps. I'm not going to go into any transit details because that's Jim's job. He has promised not to mention every proposed stop along the line or to review his entire 12-panel, size 2 font campaign brochure.